run your ads and right out the gate, you're getting terrible trash quality leads. You don't know why. For some reason, you're just getting a bunch of random people from who knows where, who, they're probably broke, just opting into your forms and doing all sorts of things with your offer. And you're trying to rack your brain and ingest all these things to figure out why. And you just want to target people who have enough money to afford your offer. So in this video, I'm going to go over why your lead quality sucks and things that you can do to fix that problem and see immediate results from that, right? My name is Lou. I'm the founder of Ripple Media. I've been running ads for about 2 years now for a variety of businesses, agencies, SaaS companies, coaches, things like this, B2B and B2C. And I think I'm qualified enough for me to be able to talk about this issue to you guys and solve it for you. So on the screen, you can see some of the results I've gotten from my clients. And yeah, let's go ahead and just go in. So why your lead quality sucks, right? So there are going to be a variety of reasons why your lead quality sucks. It can be literally anything. But I'm going to boil it down to really three main things. Now, it can get more in depth and more technical than this, but for this case, usually 90% of the people, it's going to fall under the umbrella of these three categories, right? So let's go ahead and just dive straight into the first one. So the first reason that your lead quality sucks, and I know it might be a little bit boring, but it's true, your offer, right? Your offer, you just don't understand how important your offer is when it comes to making sure you're attracting the right kind of people who want to buy your stuff. And there's different levels to your offer. Of course, there's like the your main offer in your business. Like when somebody asks, what do you do? There's your offer, and you tell them, oh yeah, I help stagnating SaaS companies scale, past 6 and 7 figures using Facebook ads. Like you can say that as your offer, but there's also the offer on the ad, right? So that's also what matters there, right? And usually when it comes to the offer, there's a few things to that usually hold us back, right? So first thing when it comes to this, make sure you just want to make sure you have these things in check. I want you to treat this video like a checklist, right? So the first thing is just an unclear audience, right? An unclear audience or target market, right? Usually, and I see this a lot with the coaches specifically. So coaches, they want to help everybody. They want to help anybody, right? And so what happens is that they don't know exactly who their specific target market is, and so they make an ad trying to appeal to everybody, and they think it's going to work, and they see it, and they're like, man, I see this other coach doing this. How come it's not working for me? The reason it's not working for you and you're getting bad quality out of that ad is because you're unclear on who you're trying to target. If you had a specific person that you could needle into their pain points, right? And just like specifically focus on them, you're going to be attracting those people. And really, when it comes to the lead quality issue, you're going to notice in this video that it's not about like targeting. And yes, we're going to get into targeting and things that you could do like immediately to fix your lead quality, but it's more like the things that you say on the ad, right? Why do people still use billboards? The reason that people use billboards is not because the targeting is amazing, right? It's just targeting people in an area. The reason that billboards are still being used is because you can put something really specific on the billboard, and that's how they do their targeting. So they point out to specific pain. Hey, you just got in a car accident, call this number, right? So instead of targeting anybody who's been in any kind of accident, a work accident or whatever, they're just saying car accident, call this number. And so people who've gotten just in a car accident will call that number. So that's the idea. So make sure that your um, audience is clear, right? Make sure that's in check. If that's in check, the next thing that it can be is making sure that your offer, your call to action in your ad isn't too soft. Now, soft in this case, what I mean by that is that the call to action isn't something that's just like too simple, too easy for them to do. Making things easy for your, target market is like a double-edged sword, but more than likely one of the edges is really dull, and you just gotta, you know, make it more straightforward for them, right? And just cut to the chase. So what I mean by that is like, for example, some people will offer a lead magnet, and that lead magnet will go to a webinar, and that webinar will go to a challenge, and then that challenge will go to a sales call, and then a sales call will go to another call, and then that call will go to, like an actual final like sales call where they can get closed or something. You know what I mean? So there's all these things, and we get into the weeds of offering, of like trying to make the next step as soft as easy to do as possible, but you actually end up losing out on a lot of the more intentional people in your market when you're doing that, especially if it's B2B. So make sure that your CTA for your ad isn't too soft, right? So, for example, one really good example is lead forms in Facebook, right? So, a lot of people they notice that they can get more leads if they run lead forms instead of running it to a landing page because lead forms on Facebook are more easy to do. So, you get more leads and the cost per lead is cheaper. Why is the cost per lead cheaper? Because more people are opting in, right? Per the amount that it's costing to get eyes on your thing, right? So maybe you get $5 cost per lead on a lead form that you would have got $10 if you did a landing page. But the reason that the lead form, like what that means is that you're also getting a portion of people who are too lazy to actually go on a website and put in their information. And so filtering the call to action there helps to filter out those people who are like really low intention, they're just curious, they're not actually meaning to do anything, right? And also a lot of that bad traffic as well, they like soft call to actions. And so if you do something like if you go from an ad straight to a call, it's a harder call to action. You're going to get less people doing it, but the people that are doing it, you're going to know they're a lot more intentional. They're a lot more interested, right? Of course, there's a balance, but that's just something to keep in mind, right? Another thing, which is kind of like a just a third point when it comes to the offer, especially for like coaches and people running like where the funnel can be really anything, is that the funnel itself can be really soft. So what I mean by that is kind of like what I said in the first point, where like you have all these moving parts in the funnel and you're trying to take them from point A to point B, but they don't really need all that. So like cut to the chase. Stop having the funnel be like so simple to get. Like if they need to book a call and that's how you sell them, then do a VSL to a call. It's simple, right? So that's the offer bit. Make sure that these things, if these are not in check, make sure they are. Now let's go ahead and go to the next one, right? So next one. What could be the next one? So the next one is going to be messaging, right? Notice how I didn't say targeting, right? But messaging. So I think that's how you spell messaging. So in the messaging, um, there's of course going to be three components. But the first thing, let's go ahead and make this red actually. So the first thing is going to be unclear messaging, and it goes in tandem with an unclear audience, right? So if your messaging is unclear, you're not speaking to the right kind of person. You're speaking to all sorts of people, or not even that. Sometimes it can just be messaging that's confusing and you don't even know it's confusing because you're in the market, right? So if you start throwing around, like if I were to throw some gaming terms at you, right? And I said, yeah, like imagine I give you a controller and I said, like, all you got to do is play this game. And I've been gaming for, who knows how long. Since I was born, I've been gaming, right? So I know exactly how to use the controller and move all the parts and move my character the way I want to. And I can do crazy things with the controller, right? Because I've used it all my life. But somebody who's brand new to gaming, right? They don't know how to use that controller. So even the things that seem the most simple to you may not be simple to them. And it's really obvious when I'm saying it like this, but you really have to like look at your offer. Maybe try pitching it to somebody who doesn't know like what you're doing, like I don't know, you like your mom or your niece or somebody who's like not really related in the space and see, what they think. If they keep asking questions, okay, how does this work? How does this work? Then, you need to change your messaging. It needs to be a lot more clear. Because even if it's somebody in the industry, unclear messaging makes people use more brain power, right? And you don't want to use brain power. You don't want them to use brain power to figure out how to understand your ad. They're not going to. They're just going to skip your ad and finish watching their next reel. So the next thing is making sure that you're not appealing to the wrong type of person. So what I mean by that, a really big one, is actually guarantees, right? And of course, guarantees can work. And I'm not saying like again, it's a balance, but these are just things to keep in mind. Um, with guarantees specifically, a lot of people will lead in with that. So, hey, we'll give you all your money back plus some if we don't get you any result. This completely pay on results no matter what. You don't have to pay us a dime and things like this. And yes, it's good for getting people in the door, but what you're actually getting is people who are not actually people who are serious. They're just wanting like the quick solution, right? They're not actually willing to invest to solve their problems. So attracting those people in the front end is only going to get you crap in the back end, right? So you have to make sure that you're attracting the right kind of person with your messaging, and just convey yourself as a business owner who actually has ground, in the offer, So depending on how sophisticated the market is, this can be, it could be flexible, but just keep that in mind, If you lead in with all these things, that's like an easy, it's no brainer, but it's almost like too good to be true. You're gonna attract the wrong kind of people, or you're just not gonna attract anybody because they all know it's too good to be true, especially in sophisticated markets, right? So 100% money back guarantee in the first 10 days of working together, or something, like I'm like again leading with that. Just be careful. Just be careful leading with that messaging. That doesn't mean you can't have it in the ad, but you may not want to lead in with that kind of messaging because you might be attracting the wrong kind of person who actually cares so much about their money. Like they just want their money. And if they don't get any results at all, like they just want their money. Like you don't want to, work with those kind of people. You want to work with people who are actually serious about solving their problems and you know that they're going to work just as hard as you are to solving the problem with them, right? So that's wrong person. So next thing is going to be qualification, right? So qualifying people in the ad itself, right? In the actual messaging of the ad. So are you a ecom founder doing between 30 and $50,000 a month in revenue and are having trouble scaling using your with email or something, like something like this, right? Are you this, or like just point or like saying like if you're doing under this might not be for you, but if you're doing this, then this is definitely for you, or like being really specific on the market you're targeting, right? Like and just going in and qualifying, hey, are you somebody who's between the weights of, or between 140 and 180 pounds, and you're like really slender and you're trying to, gain weight, something like that, right? Something where you again, you just want to speak. It goes with the offer a lot, because like you want to make sure your offer is clear. That's why this is the first pillar, your offer, so that then you can qualify the kind of person that you're messaging, right? And so you want to go with this in order. So offer, then messaging. So really, if you fix the offer, then the messaging will kind of fix itself. But there might be still some things you gotta to work out with the messaging. So yeah. And then let's do the last one here, right? So the last one is going to be targeting. This is the fun one, right? That everybody was waiting for. What buttons can I click to get more money into my bank account? Basically, this is the question, right? And people always blame like the media buyer, or the agency and say like, oh yeah, like, they're just not doing their job. Like we're getting bad leads. And it could be the case, but a lot of times it has to do with these first two, especially if you're in an industry where these things change a lot, like for example coaches, SaaS, things like this. If it's something more like, straightforward like construction, remodeling, plumbers, then might not be these might not be as big of a problem because the offer is pretty much the same across the board. But anyways, you just want to make sure that your targeting is in line, right? And that's basically the moral of the story here. And the targeting does matter. Okay. It's not like it doesn't matter. It's just usually the things that are messed up before this is usually has something to do with this, right? So let's get into the targeting. So first thing is, of course, the actual audience, right? So you should always be doing audience testing, really, when it comes to targeting. You just want to make sure that you're target people who are actually interested in what you're selling, right? And so there's different ways to go about targeting. Everybody says to do this, and this. What I've found to be working kind of well recently has just been stacking interests, and then doing it kind of like in a group. So what I mean, like, and this is specifically for Facebook, right? If you're running YouTube, YouTube is kind of the same way as well, right? But with like Facebook ads, you let's say you're selling real estate and you're selling a villa in Spain. That's one of my clients, right? So they're selling a villa in Spain. The targeting that I used in this case was I used specific and then broad targeting and then behavioral targeting, right? So behavioral being things that people who like to buy those sort of things like to do, golfing, I don't know, asset management, things like this, you know what I mean? Just behavioral stuff, that things like they're interested in, and then I stack that interest, right? You can do, specific targeting, which is really straightforward, right? But like just really specific kind of honed in keywords, and it doesn't fill in the targeting like number too much, right? And of course it varies per industry, but like for example, with specific, you could do if you were selling like for example, remodeling, right? So with remodeling contractors, if you wanted to target remodeling contractors, a specific thing would be renovation contractors or something, like if that was an interest, right? Or general contractors. And then a broad thing would be like construction, right? So to just specific is just you get the idea of specific. I don't have to explain that to you. But you have specific and then you have broad. Broad is good because it gives platforms the control, more control, and they like control, especially with AI, because then they can kind of figure things out. And so broad works just as well. And then open targeting is another one you can do, but I wouldn't do that until later because you do sacrifice lead quality. So if you're just running open targeting on your ad account and you just started running ads, I would fix that, right? So that's basically the audience. You just want to go, that's interests. Of course, there's going to be lookalike audiences. The thing with like lookalike audiences is that they're good, but like sometimes they're not scalable. Sometimes like once you spend a lot, like the kind of quality goes down compared to like other ones. And we're gonna get into like more of the technical stuff in this because there's could be other factors when it comes to like the actual media buying of why your quality is going down. Let's say it was good and then it's going down. There's other factors to it as well. But yeah, that's gonna be that. And next thing is going to be settings and placements, right? So actual settings in the ads manager itself, right? And placements, places where you actually put the ad. These things are actually really important. For example, like anytime I'm launching a new ad campaign for my clients, I don't want AI to like override my targeting. I want to be able to split test stuff. So like I turn off the Advantage Plus targeting on Facebook or the optimized targeting on Google, and I just let my targeting do the work. I don't want Google and Facebook to be meddling in things and then I'm not able to split test the right way to see what audience works the best. So make sure stuff like that is off. If it's like AI or Advantage Plus targeting and things like this, like they might be good for like, when you're spending more, but in the beginning, I would just not do that because then you can end up with people who are not qualified, right? Because they just want to get the conversion. That's all that Facebook and Google want to do. They want to get conversions. And so if they see that it's converting, even though it's low quality, they're going to keep pushing that stuff to them, right? So I don't like it. Um, that's one thing. And then placements. So big one when it comes to like YouTube is placements and Facebook too, but they're both important. So like the thing with YouTube ads, if you're running YouTube ads, you can like the placements for YouTube ads, since it's not just YouTube, it's Google, it's in the Google ecosystem. When you run a YouTube ad, it's actually a video ad. That's all that's categorized in Google. And the video ad has the ability to run on YouTube, but it also has the ability to run on mobile gaming apps, which is terrible. You can already guess why that's bad. And so imagine you're a B2B YouTube ad, that's specifically targeting a specific kind of person running on Flappy Bird, right? Or that's banned, but you get the idea, right? Like the placements shouldn't be there. And because there's a lot of bots on Google, you can end up actually spending a lot of money wasting just wasting a lot of money and time on these bad placements, especially with Google. With Facebook, it's a little bit better, but I would edit your Facebook placements and to make it a lot more straightforward. So like there's all sorts of placements that you can adjust on Facebook, and they like to hide these in menus as well. Because again, they want all the control. But like really the main thing you should be like targeting when it comes to Facebook or like meta ads is Facebook stories, Facebook reels, Facebook feeds. And then the same thing with Instagram, Instagram story, Instagram reels, Instagram feeds, right? So there's all these other ones in app, in stream, yeah, messenger, like turn all of that stuff off. You should have like four, maybe five like options, for placements. So doing that, that's a big one that can actually really influence your results, right? And just keep things more consistent. And you can test it down the line when you scale and like see if like those changes actually did anything. But like when I'm launching a new ad set, I make sure that those things are in line. Next thing, which is more, just abstract. So you have to like kind of think for yourself here. But I say it's abstract, but it's actually it could be obvious as well. Your actual platform that you're using to run ads, right? So if you have a very specific offer, let's say you're targeting people who are my age, right? And they want to start a business. Well, if you're targeting, like going on LinkedIn to do that might not be the best thing to do. Might be better to go on YouTube or Facebook, or not Facebook, but like Instagram, you know what I mean? So make sure that you're just selecting the right kind of platform. And some platforms have worser quality traffic than others, right? And depending on what you're doing as well. So like, for example, with Google ads, since they're more intent based, you know, and because of that, they're more intent based, they're more expensive, but every lead, since they're searching for you specifically, they're higher quality since they have more intention, right? Compared to Facebook, where it's just people scrolling and then it's like, oh, that's interesting. And then they click, right? So just keep that in mind. The targeting, the platform does matter, right? And those are the three pillars. Now, the last thing is, let's say you are running ads and you are finding that it started off good and then the quality is going worse and worse. Usually that's a sign. There could be multiple things. It can be a sign of ad fatigue, right? Like just your ad is just not hitting the same. And ad fatigue can show in different ways. It can, I don't know what, like specifically why, but sometimes ad fatigue shows up in the middle of the funnel instead of in the front, where it should, you know? So just keep that in mind. Ad fatigue is a big one. If you're finding that your quality is like dipping and you're not getting the same results that you were, number one thing I would say is, how long have you been running your creatives? You know, and you say, oh yeah, I've been running it this long and I saw they're working. And it's like, no, let's get new creatives, right? You get new creatives and then that usually solves that problem. So ad fatigue is a big one. Another one can just be that you're spending a lot on that platform. Like you're just really spending a lot and you're pushing the algorithm a lot. And so you need to make sure that you're running ads that are like standing out way above the rest, right? When you're just starting out, like, and you're running $50 a day, like you can run an okay ad and get results. But like, let's say you're starting to run $500 a day, $1,000 a day, you know, plus, like, then your ad, because you're showing it to so many people, um, you need to make sure that it's good. Like it's extra good, you know, not just like, okay, like you have to make sure it can stand that test of scaling a little bit more, right? And you need to always be making more ads. So that's another thing. So really the answer to lead quality, really for that is going to be more ads, which is interesting. Everybody thinks it's targeting and doing this. How do I target higher income people? You don't really get the option to do that anymore when it comes to targeting. So of course it depends on the industry. If you're in local service, you can target higher income zip codes and things like this. But like, you know, when you're running like, you know, B2B ads, online professionals and things like this, you don't get that option, right? Or if you do, it's really limited. And so the real answer for that is going to be at the ad level. It's about making good ads, and that's what these platforms are incentivizing. So yeah, that's the moral of the story. The reason that your lead quality sucks is because your ads suck. So get better ads and then you will get better lead quality. If you have any questions, let me know. If you want us to take care of this whole process for you instead of you having to make a new ad and do all these things in the ads manager, or trying to train somebody to do this for you, then feel free to book a call with me and the team where we'll be able to audit your offer, see if we can come up with a specific strategy for you to scale consistently and predictably. Again, if you have any questions, leave them in the comments below. I hope you enjoyed this video and see you in the next one.